Right, let's look at our demo, standardizing the Teams app view or layout. We'll go into our web portal, and on the Teams app setup policies, we've got a layout for different experiences depending on use case. So you can duplicate those. I'm going to add a new one. Let's call it security. And I'll also add a description. Now, as I'm typing in the description, you'll see there's upload custom apps that'll allow users or first-line workers to add their own custom apps, and I might turn that off, and allow user pinning so they can change the layout themselves. Now, I may or may not want to do that, but I do want to add this shifts. Shifts is very, very powerful, and I really do like to expose that, depending on the use case, obviously. And I might just move it to the top so that it's the first app on the client from the left at the bottom, and I might reorder a few of these. You'll notice that you need to click on the left of the little icon, otherwise you can't actually move them in case you've been having a bit of trouble with that. Right, I'll just save that now. Of course, the next step is to make sure that this app policy that I've just set up is associated with the correct users. So I'll go look for my security user, and there he is, head of security, of course. And we'll just go and edit his assigned policies and wait for the policy change to load up there. Click on the required policy, add that security, and we are done. Moving right along to our next subject, shifts. Let's have a look at how to schedule shifts. Now, there's my roster, and you'll see I've got my A, B, C, and D teams. I've also got my team members. I've got a week 1, week 2, early shift, late shift with alternating weeks. And then, of course, my time zones there, and the early and the late shift. Right, moving that out the way. Now, what I want to do is pick the team where these workers, first-line workers, are all a member of, add shifts, and I'll just want to pin that for ease of access. Now, you'll see I'm looking at July, and there's a bunch of things on this page. I can change it to day view, week view, month view, but let's go into the settings first. We can choose our time zone. We can choose our start of week, and then, of course, we can change when you're copying shifts from one slot to another, what is included. Can first-line workers request open shifts, and then of course all the different items for requesting time off. And I've already got a few there to align with our HR policy. I might just add 1 or 2 there, change the icon, and that'll be surfaced to the first-line workers when they request time off. Of course, I can also set up the clocking a time clock, which is a real old school way of folks signing in and signing out to work, but necessary, where I can geolocate that. I can use GPS coordinates of that location. If you're not sure to find them, there is a link over there. And then when somebody signs in and signs out, you can tell whether they're actually on location where they should be, which is quite handy. Very good. So we've got that all. Let's go to our schedule next. Let's look at it again. Right, okay. So we'll create our first group, Team A, and then we shall add some users, because you can't add any shifts to a team until there are some members of that team. So we'll add Fred first because he's first up. And just know that when you're adding users, they have to be members of the team. So I'll add one here. Nadine's not a member of the team yet, so let's add her, see what happens. Yep, okay, so she's not a member of this team, and therefore she cannot be added to any shifts in this team. Makes sense, right? Okay, we'll add her in the back end in a moment. Let's go start adding some shifts for Fred. Actually, let's look at, let's start on a Monday, because that's what we said. Monday was our start. Add a shift. Now, firstly, there's Fred. We can change it to an open shift there. More about that a bit later. Set the time span. And then, of course, for a label, I don't like the time on the label, so I might just give it a label. You would have noticed I could change the color as well of the shift. And then a shift note. This is just a note that'll be visible to anyone who starts the shift, of course. Now, just type that in there. Now, remember that if I copy and paste this particular shift, this note will be in each of those shifts because of the flag we set just before. Right. It's a typo, and add a few more words of encouragement for the shift. Right, now you'll notice that we can also add activities as well down below. And if I click on that, it allows me to add, I guess you could call them tasks, and I'll just save them and come back and show you. You can actually do it afterwards as well. I've got a few that I've been playing with before, but let's add, say, courier pickup. The courier pickup's nice and early every morning, so we want to make sure that we're ready. And I might give it a code and a color. Now look at the timeline on the top where it says early shifts. As I adjust, you see the little pink line adjusting? There we go. There where my mouse is what I was talking about. And that shows you on the timeline what that shift is sort of tasked out with. We'll save that and we can come back and add more. We could have done it in one go too as well. No problem at all. Just add a new shift and perhaps a handover to the late shift would be a handy reminder. Choose a color so it stands out and you'll see it'll drop into the timeline in the top there to the far end once I've added it correctly. There we go. And I can save that. Just tidy up the typing. OCD. Right. Okay. Sorted. Done. Very good. And we can save that. Now we've got our shift set for one shift, for one person. I can grab that, Control C and Control V if I want to copy paste, just like you would in Excel, right? In fact, if I go and grab some shifts, I can copy and paste them by just using my keyboard keys as you would in Excel. Nice and easy, nice and quick. Let's add another group. Let's add Team B. And again, we'll have to add a user to Team B before we can add any shifts. Who is in Team B? Tian. Okay. Let's go and add Tian to there. And he's in. He's a member, so he's all good. We'll close that out. He'll be visible. I can now go and create a shift. I'll add a shift. Let's give it a different color because it's a late shift, so it stands out on my roster. And grab the timeline, label it accordingly as we did before. Give them another shift note, which is always handy. Of course, remember, you can come and change this. You can come and edit it per shift if you want. If you wanted to do, say, additional shift activities on a per shift basis, you can just come back right into shifts and add those activities for yourself, for the workers, and they will get those shifts. So we'll just set the time for calling the alarm company, save that, done. Now perhaps we just want to copy and paste that. So select my cells, Control V, and we've just done the week. And we can replicate that because remember it's a rotating, week 1, week 2 type roster. Fill out the weekend, let's add time off, and right about now I'm thinking I probably should have added a weekend option in there, which you can always go back and do. But for the sake of expediency, let's choose Mental Health Day, which is, I guess, an alias for weekend. Add that in there, Control C, Control V, do it again. And now we can copy the entire 2-week period and replicate down here. And we can do the same for the top row as well. So Team A, Team B, getting their shifts rolled out nice and quickly now. Once we have completed the month, it'll be easy to copy and paste that some more. And of course, we can even add more members and expand that. Let's do that in a moment. Just finish up my repetition intervals. Very good. Okay, let's add Team C. And let's add some users there. Who's that? L and Sean. Okay, let's chuck them in there. And L's in. And Sean's in. Done. Okay, now let's grab our repetition. So they would be on the same repetition as A. Well, let's just finish D. Come back up. Who are we going to add to B to fill up the B roster? Bruce is in there. So now I've got 2 users in B. So I can actually take that entire, just highlighting them with the mouse, Control V, done. Keyboard, mouse, whichever way you prefer, standard Excel. Add another member to A, so we can do the same there. In the back end, I've added Nadine, so secret, off she goes. And Control all of those and paste. And now I've got Team A and Team B done. And I can actually go and copy the entire Team A, copy that down to team B. I could have done A and B and copied it to C and D in one go, but I'm not going to add any users to D just yet. A quick look at open shifts before we publish these shifts. So open shifts are shifts where there are no assigned staff. So open shifts folks can take if they have the inclination or the time. So I've given it a color and just dark blue, just giving it a name. Stock take is good. It's Saturday, so we shall choose 9 to, let's call it 4. Nice day for an open shift. And just a comment so they know what they're signing up for, what we're doing on that day. At least just a very high level, and comment as to how many folks we need. Then, of course, a little incentive as per usual. We can save that, and there's my open shift. I can come back and add some tasks or modify it. Like, for instance, I can add more people. I can assign which team it applies to, and let's just add the activity. Talk to Jonathan. He's going to be leading the day. So we do that nice and early in the morning, first 15 minutes, he'll give you assigned work and we'll save that. Now we're in a position to grab that open shift and copy it. So we'll copy it and I'll chuck it on Sunday as well. Maybe we'll grab the two, we'll do it across all teams. So all teams have an option. So I'm effectively going to have 4 people for stock take. Okay, so you'll notice now that I've got my schedule set up for a month. I might just copy that because I want to replicate this in my case. So I'm going to grab the schedule we've just created. I want to copy it with all the groups and notes and things. And I'm going to copy this recurring roster 3 times over. So I'll have effectively July copied to August, September, October. So let's have a look how that went. There's July, right? And then just flicking forward to October, September, yeah, I've got a little gap over there because I missed the first few days when I selected because I was taking it from this week. Never mind, moving straight on. So you'll notice there's a little asterisk on each of these. It just means that the updates haven't been published. So when I click share with a team, it gives me the range. Where do I want to share from where to where that I've made changes for? And of course to the team or everyone that's been affected only. And we click share. And that will send a chat message to everyone, and they're all in the know that the update to the schedule's been updated. Right, what about stream and forms? How can they be used in a first-line worker perspective? Well, let's go grab our team we created before. I've created a training tab. I've put some, it's basically a stream channel, which is called support training, and I've got all my training videos in there. I can also do a monthly update. So this is a little bit different. This is where I've actually pinned a specific stream video within the channel, or the tab rather, and you'll just see it playing over there. As soon as you go to it, it gives you the option to play. So you don't actually have to choose the video in question. But that's not all. I've also got this forms piece here, full employee check-in, which I've tabbed on the top. And there's my form, and that'll be then available to my first-line workers. So those are the 3 bits of information I'm going to share with my first-line workers. What's this all look like from the mobile device? Let's look at the first line worker experience. Firstly, we're signed in as our first line worker. You can see there are my shifts, my late shifts, my time off, my early shifts, weekends, and so on. I can now have a quick look at those and decide whether I need to do any changes. In this case, I'm going to request some of those open shifts. I want to request the 11th of July shift. You'll see it says pending. That's gone off to my team manager. And you'll see the comment there and all the rest of it. And perhaps I've requested the shift on the 11th, but I'm also going to ask to swap out a shift. Let me swap out a shift with maybe Dave. Now, perhaps I should have messaged Dave first, but I know Dave's always keen to grab my Monday shift, so I'm going to give him a little note over here, see what he says. Right, and that's gone off to Dave. Again, pending. I've got to wait for him to take that shift. Now I'm going to ask for some time off. Perhaps it's annual leave. Let's grab some time off. Let's go with the 31st. Actually, you know what? It's not much of a long weekend. Let's grab 2 days, 30th, 31st. Great time to finish the month. And we'll just put in some comments over there. Now this will go to the boss, and it says annual leave. So again, you know, whatever I need to categorize that under. Big contract starting, a little bit of me time to get ready for it. And that's gone off. And you saw there was a cancel option as well. Now, once they're approved, I'll get messaging from the boss. Let's look at clocking in. So again, you hold down the start button and it starts clocking. Now look on the top there. It says you're on the clock, but not on location. And that's simply because the geo location I had before was not where I am right now. I've just started a break, so you can see that there's my break being timed again. Hold it down and the break ends, and I'm back on the clock. So this information will be stored somewhere in the back end for the boss to get hold of. Just sending a message. So looking for one of my colleagues, Nadine, perhaps I found, here's an invoice on my desk. I found an invoice. I wonder who it's for. So Nadine's doing purchasing, so I might just send that through to her, see how she responds. So first line workers, communication, all secure, and she's asking what the invoice is for. Let me go grab a snapshot of it. Now the beauty of the snapshot is this is not stored at all in the photo location on the phone, and they're just using the document. It uses Lens, the old Lens technology. Frame it up nicely by looking for the parallel lines. There she goes. Oh, and she's giving me some praise. How wonderful. So I've now got some praise from her, and I'm responding because I'm one-handed now. So I'm just responding by recording my message instead of typing it out. And there we take another photo. Perhaps you want to do some annotation. I might go, hey, did you notice I got charged for using my card? And I might just send that off to her. Of course, we can go ahead and also click on the ellipses and select location to share our location. It finds me with the GPS coordinates and drops that within my session chat over there. And I can even put in some requests. Maybe I need some help. I need somebody to come out to where I'm at, and I'm not 100% sure, or I know where I am, but this is just so much easier than trying to explain where I am. And of course, they can use that location to navigate to get to me. Let's just go on back to some of the other areas that we looked at before. Just coming back to our team within the Teams setup. We can come back here, go to more. There's our training. There's our monthly updates. There's our forms that we created before. So just looking at the training first, remember that this is loading it from Stream, really. There are my training sessions, and I can start them from here and have a look at them. And perhaps it's some line of business training or some process or something like that that's in there. And that's pretty handy for us to be able to deliver that to first-line workers, to their mobile devices, to wherever they are. Of course, because it's using the capabilities of a mobile device, you can do all sorts of things you could normally do with a mobile device, like flip it over, that sort of stuff. Let's look at the monthly updates, which is my embedded video from Stream within that particular tab. And you'll see I've just flipped it over on its side so we can get a full view of the content. I've obviously got the captions on there, so that's what we're seeing. And just flipping it back upright. We also have the button on the top there next to the close button, which allows us to zoom in, zoom out, which is quite handy. And then lastly, just going over to our form. There's a form over here. We can go and answer this form, and it'll collect the data from this form and then drop it into it, just like a normal form setup, drop into the mobile device. These are all technologies that we're very aware of. No doubt you've played with most of these. All we're doing is we're finding use cases where they come together and they make the first line worker experience smarter, helping people to work more efficiently, more streamlined, and trying to take away all that sort of traditional time wasted experience from collecting documents and all that sort of stuff, coming in and having to fill out things manually and all that kind of thing. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure you no doubt agree. Just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more we can do in this space. And these are, like I said, just the baked in components. We haven't even begun to look at things like signing in via your mobile device number and that sort of stuff. So that's all we have for the first line worker experience. Let's jump back into our slide deck